You're still watching TVC Breakfast. We now take you through this very important conversation. Now, human capital development is now central to how businesses grow and stay resilient in a fast-changing economy. The World Economic Forum estimates that 44% of workers' skill will be disrupted within the next 5 years, showing the scale of change ahead. More than half of employers globally say they are already facing skill gaps, which is affecting productivity and service delivery. Experts say investing in people through training and development is key to building stronger organizations that can adapt and survive economic shocks. Joining us for this conversation is President and Chairman of the Governing Council, Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria, Malam Ahmed Ladan. Good morning, sir. Thanks for joining us. In Akwana, thank you for joining us in the studio this morning. Happy Workers' Day, to you. We'll go straight into this very important conversation. We've been talking about, celebrating workers in Nigeria. We're putting Nigeria in the forefront because we're all Nigerians. And oftentimes we ask ourselves, the safety of workers. How are we making sure that workers are safe? We know that workers play a very pivotal role in an organization. I mean, without workers, how is the organization going to run? I want to talk about, your institution, what you're doing to make sure that, workers are safe, workers are getting training that they duly need to. I'll give you a quick example. Oftentimes, there are some companies that you work there for a lot of years, but there's no training. So you're not growing, you're just in the company. I also want to highlight the issue of Japa. Right about now, we see a lot of young Nigerians that will tell themselves that, nothing is going to happen for me here. The grass is greener on the other side. But if you ask yourself, the grass can be greener in Nigeria too as well. The labor laws we have. I just want you to sum it up for me with your organization. What are you doing to make sure that on this May 1st, we are not just talking about it today, but it goes beyond?
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. First, let me wish every worker in Nigeria and internationally a very happy Workers' Day. I think it's time that as institutions and as a nation, as a country, we begin to understand that beyond paying compensation to workers, workers need what we call holistic support. Holistic support because of the economic realities, of today. And when we talk about support, support is beyond just paying salaries to workers. We're talking about support even for mental wellness, for healthy well-being, for workers. Now, today, we pay all sorts of compensation. But at the end of the day, you find that these, like most of our colleagues in the union will say, what we're paying will not even take our workers home. It's unfortunate. To support workers, we need to pay beyond wages. Yeah. For example, we know what the cost of transportation is in the country today. Are employers able to, say, provide transport support for workers to commute from their homes to work? Are employers able to institutionalize flexi-work arrangements such that workers will not necessarily have to go to work on a daily basis if they can work remotely, from elsewhere? Are employers able to also institutionalize financial wellness to also help workers at least to understand that they need to manage their funds and their capital very well, not just for today, but for tomorrow. Now, yes, for the future. Now, beyond all of this, are we focusing on the career growth and the career progression of workers? And this is where learning and development and training comes in. When an employee joins an organization, whether it is in the public sector or the private sector, you look at what future do I have, if I'm joining today as an entry-level graduate, where do I expect to be, say, in the next 10 years, and how do I get there? Now, so workers and employees need support from employers to be able to provide the kind of individual development opportunities that they require to progress in their respective careers. Yeah. You'd also have to switch careers, say in the middle of their career. They will expect to get the requisite kind of support by way of training, by way of learning, development opportunity, by way of job rotations for them to be able to progress. Now, these are the things that keep employees with organizations. These are what helps with talent retention. These are the kind of things that will also help stem, the tide of Japa, that we're talking about. It's not that, or in all cases, that the grass is actually greener,
of course.
on the other side. people will leave it, they see that they have no future, you know, with the organization they are working with, whether it is in the public or in the private sector. So they think they probably have a future elsewhere there. So, but if employers provide all of this, you know, for employees, we will be able to retain employees. We will be able to at least assure them that they have job security, you know, and that, you know, their future is assured with, you know, the organizations they are working.
Absolutely. So as we can see, that Nigeria actually continues to experience a steady, you know, outflow of skilled talent, often referred to as JAPA, you know, from a people management perspective. But what exactly are we getting wrong as a nation, and what must change, you know, to retain our best talent? Because they say companies or organizations are only as strong as the people that they invest in. So we can see how the world is changing globally with the AI adoption and all of the trainings. So what exactly do you think we need to do in order to retain these best brains that are leaving the country for education, and then the next thing is that they want to stay there for work?
I think the most important thing, in my view and the view of the CIPM, which I lead as president, is that we need to begin to see workers and employees as valuable assets, you know, and not just cost centers, you know, or costs, you know, to the organization. Oftentimes, employers, whether in the private or in public sector, think that because they pay wages, because they pay various forms of compensation and reward, those in themselves, you know, are sufficient to retain employees. No. Employees must feel valued. They must feel that they are a part of the respective organizations they work for. They must see leaders demonstrate accountability and demonstrate leadership.
That's right.
Now, when they see this, they are able to follow such leaders. And when they get into leadership roles, you know, they also understand that they are going to be held accountable and responsible for what they do and for their actions. But the most important thing, I think, is for employers to begin to see workers and employees, you know, as valuable assets to the organization. People are the most important resource, you know, in any form of business at all. And until we begin to see people as assets, then we're not likely to get it right.
Totally agree with you. Just before Mr. Shomi comes in, I just want to speak about the economic hardship, because oftentimes we cannot put that behind us. It's something that we have to put on the forefront, you know. A lot of people will say so many workers are living from hand to mouth. You collect your salary, you pay bills, you start working again to pay bills. Most Nigerian workers do not even have savings. So when we talk about the economic hardship as well for your organization, what are some of the things you think that can be put in place to make sure that as you're working somewhere, you need to have savings? You're not just working to pay bills, because majority of workers are actually, if you agree with me, actually working to pay bills.
That's right. I agree with you completely and totally. It's the reason why we, like many other organizations in the labor space, we at CIPM often advocate for what we call the living wage. What we pay in the country is the minimum wage, right? And the minimum wage, like I said in my intro, is no longer taking anybody home at all. So people expect that businesses and organizations will pay what we call the living wage. The living wage will help employees to even have some savings, you know, no matter how small. But if we continue to speak about minimum wage, today you pay perhaps the lowest paid employee 70,000 naira or 72,000 naira, which is the minimum wage. We all know what the cost of transportation is like. It's unlikely that such an employee, if he or she works in Ikoyi, for example, it's unlikely that he'll be able to live in Ikoyi or around Lekki. You probably will live several kilometers away from there. You look at the cost of transportation. Unless the organization that employee works for is able to provide, say, transport support, say by way of providing commuter buses for employees to pick them and drop them off work. Such an employee will spend more than the 70,000 or 72,000 naira, or even if it's 100 or 120,000 naira, on just transportation costs. So we should be looking at paying living wage. Beyond that, like I said, so we must also be able to begin to educate, you know, our employees about financial wellness. What is being paid as minimum wage is not much. We're advocating for living wage. But do workers and do employees even understand, you know, what they need to do to help themselves to even save anything at all? And this is where financial awareness, financial education, comes in. Beyond all of this, we need to continue to support, mental health, mental well-being, provide healthcare support, where we can. And for businesses that can afford it, even provide accommodation. I mean, Nigeria is very large. There are vast lands here and there. There is nothing that is stopping businesses, as they used to do back then, from building estates, and accommodations of various kinds to accommodate their workers and their employees.
So, the Institute of Personnel Management is a very important institution in Nigeria when it comes to
Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, to developing skills, training, and sharing information. We all know that workers face one major problem, which is in the areas of implementing new technologies in a way that they can easily move from traditional roles, to more advanced, systems. Then the second part of it is the fact that the pace of development, the rapid advancement in technological development is outpacing our educational curricula, and therefore creating gaps in terms of skills needs, in terms of skills and industry needs. So what role it's the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management playing with a view one to ensure that there is a smooth transition through training, for workers to move from traditional roles to more advanced system, and secondly, that to ensure that the skills requirement of workers meets the needs of industry, given the fact that technology is outpacing, educational curricula. Yeah, thank you very much for this question. Of course, we all know and we all agree that we are in the age of AI and technology.
That's where I'm going, sir.
Exactly. Obviously, for anyone to be able to function properly in his or her role now, you need to be tech savvy. And of course, you need to also, for those of us in HR, have some analytical skills to be able to function properly. Now, so it is, for even those who work on the shop floor in the factory. The machines, of course, that are being brought in now that businesses are using, the organizations are using, are not the same as we used to have, in 10 years ago. So to answer your question, again, like I said earlier on, training, continuous training, on the job and off the job. Now, for us in CIPM, we are the only HR professional body chartered by law to regulate the practice of HR in Nigeria. We were established by an act of the National Assembly. Now, our role includes regulating HR practice, includes training, and includes certifying people to practice HR in Nigeria. So we take that training part of our responsibility very seriously. As CIPM, for example, although our focus is mainly around HR and growing human capital around, we deploy lots of interventions, by way of training, either short-term courses, either online courses.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, either webinars, and we do this all month round. Yesterday we had one, 2 days ago we had one, and we're always doing this on a weekly basis. But beyond that, is that we're going out now to sign MOUs with universities. We're going to catch them young, to ensure that we provide the right kind of support for universities. I mean, we're collaborating with
we could go
NUC.
on and on, but our time will not permit us.
Sure.
I wish we could really go on and on, but this is a fantastic work you're doing here. I must say, well done to you. We wish you all the best, and we'll sure have you on the show again to really break down the progress to us. Thank you so much, Mongode.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.